In a world where betrayal wears the face of family, where the sea keeps secrets darker than night, and where mercy is stronger than magic itself, tonight you will hear the tale of a merchant who saved his brothers only to be betrayed by them. But what happened next will test the meaning of loyalty, jealousy, and forgiveness. This is the story of the second old man and the two black dogs. Long before the seas were fully charted, before sailors trusted maps more than stars, there lived men whose choices shaped their destiny forever. In those ancient days, when merchants crossed deserts and oceans, guided only by courage and faith, fate often walked beside them, sometimes as fortune, sometimes as ruin. It was in such a time that an old man stood before the mighty prince of the Genil with two black dogs seated quietly at his side. Their eyes were gentle yet filled with sorrow. The old man bowed deeply and began his story. Second old man. Great prince of the Genii, these two black dogs you see before you were once my brothers. Long ago, the old man lived with his two brothers. When their father died, he left behind a fair inheritance, 1,000 sequins to each son. With this wealth, all three became merchants and opened shops of their own. At first, fortune smiled upon them. But the eldest brother soon grew restless. Dreams of distant lands and quick riches filled his mind. He sold everything he owned and set out alone to trade in foreign countries. A year passed. One day, a poor beggar entered the old man's shop. When the merchant looked closely, his heart nearly stopped. It was his brother, thin, weary, and broken by misfortune. The brother begged him not to ask about his journey, for the pain was too great. Without hesitation, the merchant closed his shop. He bathed his brother, clothed him in fine garments, and brought him home. Later, when he examined his accounts, he discovered that his own wealth has doubled. With a generous heart, he divided everything he owned and gave off to his brother. Thus, kindness restored what fortune had taken. Sometimes later, the second brother too felt the urge to travel. Though warned by both brothers, he refused to listen. He sold his goods and departed. After a year, he returned, ruined and ashamed, just like the first. Once again, the merchant showed compassion. He gave him 1,000 sequins, and he could begin again. Years passed. The merchant prospered steadily while his brothers struggled. At last, both brothers came to him with a proposal. They wished to travel together by sea and trade as partners. At first, the merchant refused. He reminded them of their past failures. But after 5 long years of persuasion, his heart softened. When preparations began, he made a troubling discovery. Both brothers had already wasted every coin that he had previously given them. Yet he did not scold them. Instead, he secretly buried 3,000 sequins in his house and took the rest for the journey. They loaded their ship and sailed with a favorable wind. After 2 months at sea, they reached a prosperous port and earned great profits. As they prepared to depart, a poorly dressed woman approached the merchant. She kisses his hand and begged him to marry her and take her with him. At first, he refused, but her humility, gentle speech, and promise of loyalty moved his heart. He married her, clothed her richly, and welcomed her abroad. During the voyage, the merchant found his wife wise, kind, and loving. With each passing day, his happiness grew. But his brothers watched in silence. Jealousy crept into their hearts like poison. They could not bear his success, his kindness, or his joy. One dark night, while all slept, they committed a terrible crime. They seized the merchant and his wife and threw them into the sea. Believing him dead, they returned to their beds without remorse. But the merchant's wife was no ordinary woman. She was a fairy. She saved her husband and carried him safely to a distant island. At dawn, she revealed the truth. She wished to punish the brothers with death. Second old man. I fell at her feet and begged her to spare them. Moved by his mercy, the fairy agreed. She returned him safely to his home and vanished. When the merchant entered his house, he found two black dogs waiting, sad, obedient, and silent. The fairy appeared once more. Fairy. These dogs are your brothers. I have condemned them to live in this form for 10 years as a punishment for their betrayal. The merchant accepted her judgment. The 10 years of punishment were nearly complete. Now he travelled in search of the fairy, hoping to restore his brothers to their human form. He ended his tale and turned to genius. This second man. This, O Prince of Genii, is my story. The genius listened in silence. At last he spoke. Your story is truly marvelous. For your sake, I forgive 1/3 of the merchant's punishment. Moved by mercy and wonder, the genius spared the merchant's life. Each traveler went his own way. The merchant returned to his family wiser than before. Thus ended a tale where envy destroyed itself, kindness multiplied, and forgiveness softened even magical justice. Moral. Greed blinds the heart. Jealousy leads to ruin. But kindness and mercy can change even the harshest fate. But listen carefully. Was the fairy punishment truly enough? Can 10 years erase betrayal? Can a jealous heart ever truly change? And what of the other old man who stood before the Prince of Genii that night? What stories did they carry? If you wish to hear more tales of magic, fate, wisdom, and wonder. Stay with us for the next story, for the maybe even more astonishing. Until then, guard your heart against jealousy and hold tight to kindness. Thank you. Have a nice day.